Jai Hind, my fellow Indians. So I have come here again, another week, another very important topic that I want to speak about. I told that I might be speaking about it, but now I will speak about it, which is the FCRA bill, which has been in the news again. A lot of talks have been happening, a lot of worries that have been happening, not only in India but outside India as well. So you would have seen, a lot of concerns coming from the US, from Pakistan. Pakistan has a lot of concerns about the FCRA bill, and in India as well, the usual suspects having a lot of problems with this particular amendment that the government will be bringing in the parliament in the form of FCRA. So before I go into why this worry has been seen outside India and inside India as well, I would divide today's video into three parts. One is to understand the history and to understand what exactly FCRA is all about, which is something that a lot of people don't have clarity. There's a lot of talks, a lot of selective discussions that have been happening, so it's important to know what exactly FCRA is all about. Second is why this worry that we are seeing from the external and internal forces that are there in India. Third is what the government is doing and why the government is doing this, and what kind of steps the government has taken, and what kind of plans that they have, what kind of strategy that they have to bring this bill, and what they are looking to basically achieve in the end. So to start off with, what is FCRA all about? So FCRA is basically the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which was brought back in 1976 by our former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi ji. So that was basically, the aim was to stop or to track foreign funding that is coming into India in the form of mainly through NGOs and maybe through some media houses or some companies or some individuals, but mainly through NGOs, which are being used against India to basically try to destabilize the country, whether it is politically, or whether it is socially, or it's economically, or anyway, but try and see that how we can destabilize India. So it was brought in 1976 by Indira Gandhi ji, knowing that there are foreign hands who are looking to destabilize India. So that is where it had all started. Then it came in 1984. There were certain amendments done to the bill. It try to make it even more stringent and keep a track on the kind of funding that is coming in to our country. And it kept on going. So then in 2005, again the Congress government, they brought the amendments to, they actually brought the new bill because they felt that times have changed, a lot of dynamics have changed. So in 2005 they brought another bill and another act, they wanted to pass it, but it took its time. And finally in 2010 they brought a new act for FCRA, and they eventually passed it as well. And in 2011 it came into action. Then came the BJP government. They did some amendments in 2016, in 2018, in 2020 as well. They made it much stricter. They tried to plug in the gaps that was seen in this act, and they made some amendments in 2020. They did some amendments in 2022 as well. They actually eased it a bit for foreign funding as well, because there are a lot of individuals as well, right? There are a lot of people who stay out of India, who send money into India for their family, for their parents who might be old. So the government eased certain norms, and they made amendments so that if you have, at one time, if it was 1 lakh rupees that you can send back to India, you can send around, they had increased it to 10 lakhs. So they had made some amendments in 2022. Then in 2026 now, in March, the government again came in to make the amendments to this bill. And now, after a lot of discussion, the government has decided that now is the right time for us to make these amendments, crucial amendments, to plug in all these gaps through which basically this foreign funding is coming and working against India in different ways, whether it is politically, trying to make the government unstable, or India unstable. More than, I should say, government, it's how to make India unstable, whether it is politically, economically, socially, in any way. So that is what the history has been of the FCRA bill or the FCRA Act. Congress brought the Act, they brought another one 1976, then in 2010, and then now the amendments have been happening. So the government is not bringing a new act, they're basically going to amend the already existing act that they have and try to see that how we can stop this kind of activities that are going against India. So the talk that is there and the impression that has been tried to that people are trying to make, some of the people are trying to make, is that it is some kind of political issue, it is some kind of religious issue. So as I gave you the history of it, it is not a political issue because it has been brought by Congress. The BJP is also working on the same act that the Congress brought. So both the parties are on the same page when it comes to that. It is just because of the environment that is there that the Congress is trying to oppose this bill and say that this bill is unfair against NGOs, it's unfair this. But in the end, it is very simple. It is nothing to do with politics. It's a national security issue, and that is why the government is bringing these amendments. At the same time, it is not even a religious issue. The reason it's trying to be made religious because a lot of the Christian NGOs or Christian churches, they get a lot of foreign funding which they use for various purposes, whether it is for setting up schools, whether it's setting up hospitals, or helping people on the ground in some of the other way. And for that, the government has clearly assured them, whoever is doing the right kind of work with that kind of funding, there won't be any action taken against them. It is as simple as that. So if you are setting up a school, helping out in setting up hospitals or helping out people, the government has no issue in that. And the bill that is there or the amendments that are going to be proposed, we don't know all of it, but whatever we know till now, that has nothing to do with any religious organization or any religion in that matter. It is very simple. If the funding that you get, you are utilizing it for the right purposes, there is no issue. But if you are getting the funding and you are using it against the nation in any way, and again I will now link it to my second topic on why this worry is there on these external and internal forces, is because the funding that is coming in through these external forces is being used by the internal forces, as I mentioned in my previous videos as well, whether it is these NGOs, mainly the NGOs, or whether it is these media houses or these similar kind of people who we have seen in the protests, whether it is CA, whether it is farm laws, whether it is student protest, who have one and only one aim, that is to create anarchy in India and try to destabilize India and hope that through anarchy we will be able to remove this government. As I mentioned in my previous video, that a leader like Kejriwal has openly said it, who is the one who is running the CJP, and by now we would clearly know that who these people are. We already knew who these people are. These are all people of AAP. These all people are working under Kejriwal, and he was very clear that I want a Nepal-Bangladesh kind of a situation. He called the Gen Zs out and said, come on the streets and create this kind of situation. So he is very clear that this is what we want to do, to remove this government through anarchy anyhow. Let us create violence in this country, let us destabilize India, and their agenda of removing, in the end, the main target, the Prime Minister, that is Prime Minister Modi, should be achieved. So they are very clear, and that is why now they are very worried as well. And that is where you can see Kejriwal and all his masters that are there outside India, whether it was the US. The US has concerned about FCRA. They are starting to comment about it. Why should they care about an act or a bill that is coming in India? Because it is their funding that has been coming to India through various ways, through dubious ways, and has been used against the nation's interest. Why is Pakistan having so much issue? Why is Pakistan speaking for Christians? Pakistan, that country which has a track record, a horrible track record of using force against the minorities, whether it is Hindus, whether it is Christians, those people are coming and speaking for Christians of our country. So we need to understand what these people and why these people are doing this, because they are now afraid. They know that what is going to happen now through this bill that the government is getting. So whether it is US, whether it is Pakistan, whether it is the same usual suspects, the same media houses, the same NGOs, the same leftist cabal that is there, who's afraid that once this comes in, this bill comes in, and these amendments that the government will bring, it will break their backbone, and the funding that they have been getting to use against our nation is going to basically stop, or at least it will tighten up so much that they won't be able to create this kind of situations that they have been able to create, whether it is in the CA protests, whether it is in the farm laws protest, or whether it is in the students protest as well. Because in the end, you have to think, right, that how are these people getting this funding? They say it is organic, this, that, it is for the students, for the farmers, for the Muslims, their citizenship. It was never about them. It was never about any citizen of this country and their issues. It was just one thing, is to how we can, create anarchy and come into power, and then their external masters also, the forces that are working against India, will be able to run India the way they want. At the moment, with this government, with this leadership, and the way India is rising, they are not able to achieve what they are looking to achieve. So that is what is worrying them a lot, that once this comes in, then all this funding that we are getting from our masters outside India, that will be tracked, that will be questioned, and they will be accountable. So these kind of protests won't be happening going forward, and that is what is worrying them a lot. And that is what the government's plan is. So coming to the government now, so that is what the government's plan is. They have been seeing that these kind of protests are happening, and it will continue to happen. This, if you think this is the last one, that is not going to be the last one. They will again pick up some issue. They will again catch a bunch of some citizens of our country and say that, oh, we are fighting for them, for their issues, for them we are here. But that's not their agenda. As we saw even in this CJP protest, this so-called student protest that they were talking about, they were never for the students. They were for their agenda. That was to how we can oust this government. And that is why, if you would have seen, that once the government took Sonam Wangchuk on their side, and they agreed to all of his conditions, and his condition was not to take a resignation, but the government still took the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan, our education minister. So they got caught back that what has just happened, because even the CJP was not expecting. No one was expecting a resignation. The reason being is that the government knew what their end game was. The students' end game was to get the resignation, which they got. Even we wanted that. We wanted that since UGC. Leave NEET. We wanted that since UGC, that the education minister should resign. But the students got their demands fulfilled by getting the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan. But the end game for this CJP/AAP and all their leftist ecosystem was to get the resignation of Modi, or to somehow through anarchy throw this government out of power. But they didn't achieve it. And through this bill, they know that all their hopes of removing this government through anarchy won't be achieved. So the government is now making their moves. They have seen a lot. It is now they who are deciding that, okay, we cannot let these kind of violent protests happen. Protests are most welcome. We are seeing what protests are happening in Jharkhand. They are most welcome. No one is creating any anarchy. No one is using violence. No one is beating up the police. No one is using any kind of, abusive language or anything. They are just questioning the government. They are saying the government should come and talk to us about our issues, and that's how a protest should happen. And it is in any state. I'm not just saying Jharkhand. It can be the central government, it can be the state governments, Maharashtra, or any government, any BJP, Congress government, regional party government. That's how the protest should be. So everyone is for any kind of protest. But what is happening now, as we saw in the CJP protest as well, is that The agenda is something else, and it is not the issue. It is not the students. It is something else that these people are looking for. And we saw how dangerous it is. As we are going ahead, we have started to see what is happening or what has happened in these kind of protests. What was their aim to do in these protests? We saw how the Punjab police caught hold of those 9 people who came to create violence in those protests. They were given all kind of petrol bombs, all kind of support was given to them when they reached Delhi, and their aim was to try and create a violence situation, and through that hope that there will be lives lost, and there will be a kind of instability that will happen in the country, and they can then have that situation of anarchy and try and somehow remove the government. And you see what happened after that. Once the Punjab police exposed that terror module, which was linked to, of course, Pakistan and ISI, the police commissioner was removed. And who removed him? It's not a surprise. It was the AAP government in Punjab who has removed the police commissioner. And then they came up with a clarification. Oh no, it was nothing to do with Pakistan, ISI, nothing to do with that. So we should know what is happening here. And that is why these people now understand that the government is making their moves. There were people who were caught in Kolkata. There were people who were caught in UP, again linked to the Pakistan and ISI, which is nothing but linked back to the United States of America and CIA. So this is all interlinked. The way this entire ecosystem works, it is all interlinked. And now it is time that we take action rather than just sit and see these people coming on the name of protest and burning our country down, burning our public property, and doing all kinds of violence on the name of protests, and students and farmers and or say our citizenship of our Muslim brothers and sisters. It is time for us to take action, and I'm glad that the government is doing that now. But I hope now the next week the government does not succumb to any pressure which has been tried to be created by certain sections of the opposition, especially Congress. I don't know why the Congress is going against this, because it does not make sense for them. They feel that it's a political win that they will get, but they are not going to get any political win, because it is their act. They can take the credit. They can say that we had brought this act, and the government is basically just improving on that act. And it is a national security issue. It is not a political issue. The act was brought by Congress in 1976. The act was brought again in 2010 by Congress. So it is not a political issue. It is not a religious issue as well. It is very simple. If you are going to use the funds that come from countries like US or Europe or any part of the world, that if that is used against the country, then you are in trouble and you will face the law. It is as simple as that. And the government won't allow these kind of activities to happen. So you will see all these kind of similar, media organizations, NGOs, all these professors, authors, historians, same Bollywoodia, same comedians who will oppose these, actions that the government will take through the FCRA bill. And we have to be ready and support the government for this, because it is not about politics. It is about the country. It is about our national security. As I mentioned in the last video, that it is our duty as Indians to ensure that the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India is maintained. And this particular bill is one of the actions through which we will be able to maintain it. Because otherwise it will keep on going. These people are, they will keep coming. They will keep coming. They will keep on getting the funding from their masters outside India. The US will fund them. The Pakistanis will also, fund them via their US or via somewhere else. And they will keep on creating this kind of anarchy situation, keep on creating violence and, look to destroy India. So we have to be ready, and this is the time. This is the time. We can't sit here lightly and say that okay, fine, let's move on, because these people will keep coming and keep doing what they are doing, because they are very clear what they want to achieve. So let us as Indians be clear what we want to achieve as well. Because when we are coming towards our Independence Day, 15th August, we should be very clear that as Indians, regardless of what our thinking is, what our political differences are, whatever it is, we as Indians will ensure that these kind of people that Ajit Dovalji also said when he addressed the youth, and this is especially for the youth, these kind of external and internal forces who are trying to destabilize India time and again, because they know that India is rising. They know that let us create a Bangladesh, let us create a Nepal, and let us hope that we get the same kind of results. It is our job, it's not just the government's job, it is our duty, not just the government duty, to ensure that these people are not successful. Because in the end, India should win. That is what I think about. I don't care about what the BJP is doing, what the Congress is doing, what the regional parties are doing. They can do whatever politics they want to do. That is none of my concern. My only concern is India's and national security is preserved. And this is a bill that will be a very big blow for them, that will break their backbone, and whatever they are trying to achieve, they won't be able to achieve. Anarchy won't be able to win once we are able to achieve this. And only democracy should win. Who we choose is our choice. Whether we choose this government, that government, central government, state government, it is our choice as Indians and not these people. So let us, come together. Let us support the government as Indians for this particular bill. And I hope that the government, when they go in and introduce the amendments, they go in without being defensive. I'm glad that the Home Minister has given the assurance to those people who have genuine concerns, like the Christians, the churches, the various bishops who met the Home Minister and said, these are the concerns we have. We feel that there are amendments, like if the license is cancelled, then you seize the property, and also they are concerned about that. And the Home Minister said that, see, till the time you're not doing anything wrong, you're using the funds for the development of people in need, we are with you, don't worry about that. And I'm glad he gave that assurance. The same assurance he gave it to even the CM of Mizoram, where because basically all these churches or all these kind of NGOs, a lot of them work in the south, so there are a lot of churches and a lot of NGOs there in Tamil Nadu and Kerala who had a lot of concerns. And then we go into the eastern part and mainly to the northeast part where there's a lot of presence. So the Home Minister gave an assurance even to the Chief Minister of Mizoram that you don't need to worry. And one of the main concerns that the Mizoram Chief Minister raised was about retrospective action. So what happens is that a lot of times, if there is any new law or any amendment that is made, there is a worry that the government should not go back and see, okay, this is what you did in 22, this is what you did in maybe 15 or something before that, and then you take action basis the law that you have made today. So that was one concern that they have, the Chief Minister had, and the Home Minister said that don't worry about that, we won't take any retrospective action. Whatever amendments are made in today's date, whatever, if anyone breaks the law after that, only then we will take the required action that has to be taken. So the Mizoram Chief Minister came out and said that he gave us assurance, so we are quite okay with that. And so now the government, according to him, he said that it might come at 12th August. So let us see when the government gets this bill in next week. So again, they will have to play it very smartly. So as you would have seen that Amit Shah has not been seen around a lot. And when Amit Shah is not seen around a lot, that he's up to something, he's up to doing some strategy to see and ensure that how this bill gets passed, because it's a very important bill. There are other important bills as well that are there with that, the women's bill or demonetization bill. But this particular bill is the bill, or it is the talking point that is currently going on, because it has to do with national security. And for that, I hope that it gets passed in the parliament. I hope that some of the opposition people understand that everything is not about politics, it is about the nation as well, because in the end it is our people who end up losing. whether you see it in CA, you saw the riots. Who ended up losing their lives? It is not these so-called supporters or so-called people who are saying we are protesting for the people. It is not them who lose their lives. It is our Hindus and Muslims who lost their lives in the Delhi riots in 2020. In the farm laws, it is those poor farmers who were sitting in the cold, and they were forced to sit there and said, oh, they are going to do this, they are going to do that. They ended up losing their lives. In the student protest, it's the same thing. It is they were hoping that something happens to the students, because in the end, the ones who are in the front were the students who are taking the lathi charge, or who are facing the pellet guns or so. It is the students who are facing, not this Dipke and this Saurav Das or this Kejriwal or this Yogendra Yadavs or their whoever was supporting them, saying that, oh, we are with you. Did you see any Bollywoodia get beaten up by the police? Did you see all these comedians getting beaten up? No one is there in the forefront. They didn't get beaten up. One or two of them just got caught by the police, detained them, left them. But the ones who got hurt badly were the students of this of our country. So these people don't care for anybody. So it is important that we as Indians come together, and that is why I hope that the political parties also understand that this is a national security issue, and they should support this bill and pass this bill. Of course, through a debate, put a debate, you ask your questions. If you have certain suggestions, you have certain amendments to give, they have every right. It's not that, whatever the government is proposing, you have to agree with it. But you can debate and you can discuss, and then you can decide. And I hope better sense prevails. Unfortunately for the Congress, over the past few years, especially I saw after UPA 2, for them, for some, whether it is just because of Modi or what is it, their approach of, when it comes to national issues has really changed, because Congress in the past used to also think about the nation. Whether you talk about Indira ji, whether you talk about Narasimha Rao ji, Pranab Mukherjee ji, even Manmohan Singh ji, when he was the Prime Minister, he passed the nuclear bill. When the communists went against it and they said we'll leave the government, he said it does not matter, it's a national issue, it's for our national security, and I will take that call, and he did. And all credit to him for that. But once after that, once that UPA 2 has come, I don't know what has gone into them. They feel that, opposing for the sake of opposing, even if it's against the nation, they're going to get some benefit. But I don't know why they are not learning their lessons, because we also want an important, because we also want a strong opposition. We want them to raise issues with the government that are, concerning the people of India. But when it comes to national issues, when it comes to national security, issues like these, I don't see why they should oppose it. They should support the government, because it's their, in the end, it's their act. The FCRA is their acts, and so it is very, they are thinking it politically, but I can understand if they had any political benefit coming over the years, then you understand, okay, they are finding that way, the right way to come back to power. But as of now, that approach has not worked, but they still are doing it. So anyways, I hope that better sense prevails, but I won't have too much of expectations from them. But hope the other political parties understand the significance of what this bill represents and supports the amendment. I'm not saying to support everything that the government says. Oppose wherever you feel it's supposed to be opposed. But so let's hope this bill pass, and we as Indians, we support this bill regardless of what our differences are in our thinking. And nation comes first. It is above politics. So look forward to next week, and hopefully the Home Minister does what he's planning to do all this time. And that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and have a nice weekend. And Jai Hind to everyone. Take care. Bye.